Hi guys, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we're exclusively going to be looking at the MT4 trading platform. So this session is really going to be dedicated to giving you a full walkthrough of that. It's by no means a complete guide. It won't be covering expert advisors or MQL5 script creation or anything like that. This is really just designed for newbies to get a handle on how the basics of the platform operate. So firstly, I'm going to be covering how to open a demo account from within the platform. I'm going to move on to the panels and how to introduce those into the main window, how to customize the market watch list. Then we're going to be looking at setting up charts, line studies and indicators. We're going to be looking at placing market orders after that, adding in stops and take profits. Then we're going to be looking at placing pending orders and finally how to close off trades as well. We will be doing subsequent webinars on more in-depth processes such as expert advisors and scripts, but they'll be to follow and you'll be updated about those. Firstly, I'm going to show you how to open up a demo account from within the platform. I am aware from previous webinars that when I'm screen sharing there is a bit of a lag, so I'm going to slow this down a little bit so that the video has a chance to catch up with the audio. What we'll do initially first off also is remove these windows, the chart window, the market watch window and the navigator. We'll do that so that we can start with a fresh slate. And in order to open up a demo, you can do this from the Portex Markets website, from the Open Demo Account section, or you can do this through the platform. If you go to File, the top left, File, and then Open an Account, you're then going to click Next. And then out of the three options, existing trade account, new demo account, or new real account, you're going to select new demo account, click next, and then you can input your details. So it's going to ask you for name, email, phone number, and then you can select the account type. Obviously, if you're in the UK, you're going to want to drop that down and select Portex GBP. And then you can input the deposit amount. We would usually recommend that you're going to put this in line with what you would expect to start a live account with, just so that you can start to work out your risk management before you go live. So if we just put that as a 10,000 starting balance, 1 to 400 leverage as standard, and click next. That will then generate us a login and password. Now, it's usually advisable if you're starting a demo account through the platform as opposed to signing up through the website, just make a note of that login and password so that you can log in future if you happen to be using a different laptop or a different computer system. It will remember those login details if you close down your computer and log back in. But if you're going to be logging in a different system, it's always advisable to make a note of those. Then click Finish, and that will then log you in. You'll see down the bottom right that it will have gone from no connection to green and blue bars, and it will start to bring in a feed as well. So now what we're going to do is introduce the different panels into the main window. In order to do that, we're going to go to View, and firstly we will introduce our market watch list at the top. We click on that, that introduces the market watch list, which is a full breakdown of all the currency pairs, indices and commodities that we have available to trade. If yours doesn't show the complete list, you can right click anywhere in the market watch list and you can go down to show all, and that then should populate that market watch list with all of the currency pairs, etc., that we have available. You'll see that it displays the symbol and the bid and the ask price. You can also specify that it shows the spread as well. If spreads are important to you, you can right click and go to spread. That will then show the spread alongside the bid and the ask. There's also a few other parameters that you can add in there as well, a few other different columns, namely high, low and time. You can also choose to remove grid view as well from that. I usually just have the symbol, the bid and the ask running so that the market watch list doesn't become too cluttered. If you want to remove a symbol specifically from that market watch list, so for instance, if you're just concentrating on the major pairs and the other ignore the exotic pairs, the commodities and the indices are irrelevant to you, you can remove those. So if you just go to right click and then go to symbols, you can then choose to show or hide specific groups or specific individual FX pairs. So all you would do, for instance, to hide a pair is find it within the list, AUD USD for instance, and then we can click hide, and that will then remove that from that list. So you can really customize that market watch list and make it essentially just relevant to what it is that you want to trade. So we'll close that off. And then we'll introduce a further panel. If we go to view again, and this time down to navigator, that will introduce the navigator into the main window just below the market watch list. So we can resize all of these at will. So if we just drag this down a little bit more, you can see that within this navigator we've got the accounts that we've opened. You can see here that I've got 2 demo accounts open here, so you can open as many demo accounts as you want. If you want to test out different strategies on different demos, you can do so, and then you can quickly and easily log into those demos here. Then underneath that we've got indicators. If we expand that, we'll go into the indicator section later, but with the indicators, if you expand, you'll see that they are then subgrouped into trend, oscillators, volumes, etc. Underneath that, we've got expert advisors and scripts that I touched on very briefly. We won't go into those today. We will do separate webinars on those in the weeks to come. So next we want to add in the terminal. So if we go down to terminal from the view menu, if we introduce the trade terminal, that really is going to give us an overview of the trades that we're currently in. And give us an idea of our balance, equity and free margin as well. You can see here the balance is 10,000, which is what I set up initially, equity at 10,000, free margin at 10,000, because I'm not currently in any trades. As and when we do play some trades, you will see that they get populated into that trade terminal. The only other tab underneath that's going to be relevant to you to start with, at least, is the account history tab. The account history tab will show all of the historical data, all of the trades that you've done since you opened the demo account or the live account. So let's now introduce some charts. We've got the market watch list and navigator on the left-hand side and the trade terminal down the bottom. You can change the position of these, but this is the standard layout for those 3 items. And we use the large grey area in the center to populate the charts. So in order to populate this with charts, I'm just going to move this navigator down slightly so we've got more room on the market watch list. In order to bring the charts into view, all we do is select the chart that we want. So for instance, if we wanted to have a look at the price action on Euro USD, then all we would do is select that from within the market watch list and click and drag into that grey area. Once we release the mouse button, that will then give us a Euro USD chart, and we can select as many different currency pairs as we want and click and drag those into the main window. So I'm going to pull in another 3 charts. So USD JPY, Euro GBP, and Dollar CAD. Now you can see when you put them into that that chart window area, they're kind of sporadic in the way that they're situated. We can neaten those up. If we go to the top menu, just next to the zoom buttons to the right hand side, there's an arrange window button. If you click that, that will fit those neatly visually into that central console area now. Once those have been put in place, you can then click and drag different currency pairs into those existing chart windows. Rather than having to close them down each time you want to view a new chart, you can click and drag a currency pair from the market watch list into one of those existing charts. For example, if we wanted to change that Euro USD chart at the top left, and I decided that I wanted to look at an Aussie CAD pair and see the price action on that instead, I can click and I can drag that into that existing Euro USD chart, and then that will populate the Aussie CAD price data for me. Now, if we want to have a look closely at that Aussie CAD chart, then we can full screen it. and then that will then take the place of those 4 charts. However, those 4 charts have not been lost, they're just now sitting behind this Aussie CAD chart. So if we look down the bottom of the chart, you can see you've got 4 tabs now, and you can flick between those and they'll all be full screen. If we want to bring that back down, then we just click the minimize button. So now let's move back so that we've got Aussie CAD as full screen. There's a few ways in which we can now manipulate these charts. Firstly, what I'm going to do is change this from a bar chart to a candle chart. Candle chart is probably the most widely used way of viewing charts. So I'm going to click candles, and I'm going to zoom in using the zoom tool so that we get a little bit of a closer look on those candles as well. So you can see now that they've changed from bars to candles. The other option that you've got is to view these as a line chart. But for now, for the time being, and for this demonstration, I'm going to keep these as candles. The other way in which you can manipulate these charts is to look at different time frames. We've got everything from 1 minute all the way up to 1 month, meaning that on the M1 chart, each one of these candles is a 1 minute period of time. This goes up from 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, all the way up to monthly. So if we were to click monthly, we can see that we've got price data all the way back to 2007. If we're doing day trading, we're doing swing trading, we're going to be looking anywhere, I would say, from M5 up to H1. So let's stick on M15 for the time being, and I'm going to show you how to change the colours and the general look and feel of these charts so that they're suitable for you. I usually tend to have a blue and red candle on a white background, so I'm going to do that, set that up, and then show you how to save that as a template in order to transpose it to other charts. What we're going to do is right-click anywhere in the chart, and that will bring up this menu. You can then go down to Properties, and then we can set the different parameters. So we're going to look at having a white background with black foreground, and I'm going to change the bar up, which is the outline of the candle, to blue, and the bull candle, which is the body of the candle, to blue as well. And they're going to change the bar down to red, and likewise the bear candle to red as well. If we then click OK, you can see that that has now changed the general look of the chart. I think that's a little bit easier on the eyes, so I'm going to save that as a template. I'm going to save this as Ben's candles. And then if I want to introduce that into the other charts, all I'm going to do is minimize this again and select the chart which I want to place the template onto. Right click, go to template, and you can see now Ben's candles has appeared in that list. So if I click that, that will then update the chart so it's showing the blue and red candles, and we can do that with all of them. So now you'll see as well that if we introduce other pairs into those existing charts, that chart will stay the same. Okay, so now if we want to introduce some lines to this, for instance, if we wanted to put in trend lines or support and resistance lines, we can do so by using these features to the left of the time frame button. So let's again full screen that left-hand chart. If we move to the very left near the cursor, you can see to the right of that we've got crosshair. If we want to select a specific point on the price action and find out some data about it, then we can just use our crosshair to follow the price action here, and then to the right and to the left on the X and Y axis, it will give us the exact time and date, and it will give us the exact price. We've also then got a vertical line, so if we want to separate time periods, if we want to say that the start and the end of specific periods, we can introduce these vertical lines. And then if we want to put in horizontal lines for support and resistance, we can do so by clicking on the draw horizontal line and adding those in as well. If we want to change the color or the thickness of those lines, all we're going to do is double click on them to highlight, and then right click, and go to horizontal line properties, and then you'll see you've got the option to change the color. So we just change the color to orange, and you can change the thickness as well. You can also change these to dotted lines. If we click OK, you see that that's then changed those colors. If we want to put in some channels, or we want to put in some trend lines, then to the right of the horizontal line we've got the trend line button. If we click, then all we're going to do is select a to and from point. So if I select just down here, down the bottom of this red candle, and then hit the bottom of all these candles here, and then if I want to put another one in, I can create a channel for myself here as well. Again, the trend line can be edited just by double clicking, right clicking, going to trend line properties. Now if we want to remove any of the line studies that we've done, we can go to right click anywhere on the chart and go to objects list, and that will give us a full list of all of the line studies that we've introduced into that chart. So in order to remove them, we just click and delete. Right, to the right of those line studies, we've also got equidistant channel, and we've got Fibonacci retracement as well. And if you want to annotate any of your charts, you can do that by clicking on the text button. So we're going to now look at introducing indicators. So if we wanted to put in a moving average or any Bollinger Bands or anything that's going to help us with our trade setups, you can do that by clicking on the indicators plus sign on the navigator and expanding that menu, which will then give you the sub-menus. So let's put in a moving average, 30-day moving average. All we're going to do that is expand the trend section and then go to moving average, and then we are going to click and drag that into the main area. There we can set in our parameters. So as I said, we'll stick with 30 days as the period. Simple moving average, apply to close, and then we can select the color as well. So let's put that as a purple. Click OK, and then we've introduced our 30-day. Let's now introduce a 50-day moving average. And click again, drag into the main chart window, and this time I'm going to put in 50 as the period. I'm going to change the color to green. And there we go, you can see you've got your moving averages introduced into that chart now. In order to remove those, it's very similar to the way that we remove the line studies. Right click, go to indicator list, and then we can just click to delete. Right, so now we're going to look at actually placing a trade. So let's introduce a Euro USD chart, just because it's the most widely traded pair. Introduce that into the chart window. So if we were to think that we were going to take a long position now on Euro USD, some of our parameters have been triggered, and we think now is a good time to enter a long position. We want to buy Euro USD against its counterparty, the dollar. Sorry, we want to buy the euro against the dollar. What we're going to do is double click within the market watch list. That's then going to bring us up a deal ticket, and from there you can select the parameters of the trade. If we wanted to put our volume as 0.1, which is 1 cent per 1 cent per point, we can do so. We can input our stop loss, and we can input a take profit. I'll come back to those shortly. And then we can put in a comment as well. So if we want to annotate these trades in order to go back and create ourselves a trade diary, we can then input there a reason why we've taken that trade. That can then help us with a trade plan, something that I'll be covering next week, actually, the trade plan. And it can go back, we can go back and sift through those trades and see where we were right and where we make mistakes. We're going to keep the type as market execution, which is essentially means we're going to buy at that current price. We're going to buy at the price that we're seeing now on the deal ticket. And then we're just going to click buy by market. That's going to then come up with a confirmation or denial of the trade. You can see there it's been successful and it's given us a deal number. Click OK, and we can see now down in the trade terminal that that trade has now appeared. I'm just going to highlight that now in blue, and you can see that above our balance, equity, margin, free margin, and margin level, we've got the order along with all of the details of it. So we can see that we've done the size of 0.10, euro dollar, the price that we entered the trade, and the current price. And then to the far right, you can see the floating profit and loss. I'm going to show you how to close those trades off shortly, but before I do that, I want to show you how to do a pending order. So this time I'm going to do that on Euro GBP. Let's take the price action. Let's do a long trade, pending long trade on Euro GBP. So we could say that we want to get into this trade once we've had a bit more confirmation on the trend upwards, and we want to enter a slightly higher price. So I'm going to double click to bring up a deal ticket again, and then we're going to change the type this time to pending order, and essentially we want to buy above the current price. So in order to do that, we're going to change this to buy stop. So the rule of thumb really, and the way to remember this is, if you're trying to buy above the current price, you're going to do a buy stop. If you're trying to buy below the current price, you're going to do a buy limit. Inversely, if you're going to try and sell on a pending order, you want to sell below the current price, you want to do a sell stop, and if you want to sell above the current price, you want to do a sell limit. So for this particular trade, we want to do a buy stop. Let's input the price at 0.8599, for instance. So we're looking at about 10 points above the current price. We can input stop loss and take profit, which again I'll show you shortly. We can put an expiry on it, so if we only want this to be good for the day, we can stipulate the time at which we want to close this pending order off. And if we just click place, again there you can see underneath this time, underneath the grey line, we've got our pending order with all the parameters there. So as soon as that price that we've requested, which is 0.8599, has been hit, then we will be put into that long trade. You can see here as well on the chart that we've got a green dotted line, which is where the pending order is sitting. So as soon as that price and that candle moves up and hits that line, then we'll be put into that trade. Now, in order to close these trades off, there's a couple of ways. Firstly, you can just click the X to the far right, just next to the floating profit and loss, and that will then take you out the trade. Alternatively, you can right-click on the trade, and then you can just click Close Order. It will, the first time that you do this on the platform, when you've downloaded it, it will ask you to accept the terms and conditions, and then any subsequent closes that you do will be done automatically. So just click that, and then you can see that's been removed. Likewise, with pending orders, right-click, modify or delete order, and click delete, and then that gets removed. Now, in order to put our stop loss and take profits in, let's go into another Euro GBP trade, market execution this time. All we're going to do, if we're going to go on a long position, is minus the amount of points that we want to have as our stop off the current price. So if the current price is 0.8589 and we wanted to do a stop that's 30 points below, then we would just minus 30 points off that, so 0.8558, and then we're going to click Buy by Market. And you can see now that just underneath the green dotted line, we've got a red dotted line which gives us the order number along with the letters SL for stop loss. The good thing about MT4 is that you can actually modify this by clicking and dragging that line. So if we want to give ourselves a bit more room on the trade, and the price is coming down and we think we want to move our stop slightly, we can do that just by clicking. You can also tighten up your stops this way as well. Exactly the same for take profit as well. That will sit above the green line. There'll be a red line sitting above the green line, and you can manipulate that as well by dragging. So again, what we're going to do this time is click the X next to the trade, and then that's taken us out of position. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be looking next time at expert advisors and scripts. These are things that can be purchased or taken from different sites around the web. And essentially they work exactly the same as indicators, but they have executable triggers on them. So when specific parameters have been hit, you'll be put in and out of trades. But We'll probably be covering that in the next couple of weeks. Next week I'll be looking at how to create a trading plan. If you want any more information about what you've heard today, or you would like a one-on-one walkthrough with any of the brokers at Portex, then you can contact us at support@portexmarkets.com. But that's all for today. I hope you found that informative, and I'll speak to you next time.